So our b squared is 16. So 16 equals b squared. So that means that our b is 4. So since that is under the y, we're going to go up and down by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we make our box. And then we make our asymptotes that go from corner of the box through the center through the other corner. And then we go look and see which one's positive. Our x squared is positive, so it's going to open towards the x-axis, so it's going to be this direction. The other way that you can remember is that the x is open left and right, and the y is open up and down. That's another way that you could look at that. So now let's look at finding the foci. So if we're going to find the foci, we want to find the c value. So we're going to do c squared is 32 plus 16. And since we are on a hyperbola and there's a minus here, there's a plus here, so then that gives us 48. So c squared is 48, so we take the square root of that. That's 4 and 12. Which is 4 and 3, so we get a pair of 4s and a 3, so 4 root 3, which gives us 6.9. So our foci is from the center, left and right by 6.9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.9. So there and there. Okay. And then we want to find our precise value of that. Now, to find our exact value, we have to go left and right from our center. So we're going to use our center, and since we're going left and right, we're going to use our x value left and right by the c value. So we're going to take our foci is -5, and then we're going to add and subtract 4 root 3, and then our y value remains the same, which is 7. Okay. So then this is where our foci is located. Okay. Now, we can also do where we have it in our general form, and we want to get it to our standard form. So we have to complete the square on the 2 different parts. So we're going to have group your x's, group your y's, just like we did with the ellipses. So 9x squared minus 36x, and then plus, oh, just kidding, it's a minus 16y squared minus 64y, and then plus 116 equals 0. Okay. So when we take the 9 out, remember there's something in front of the x squared that you have to divide out of both of these terms. So 9x squared divided by 9 is x squared. Negative 36x divided by 9 is negative 4x. Plus blank minus blank. And then here with our y squared, notice there's a negative in front of here. So I'm going to factor out a negative. So you do have to be really cautious of your negative. So when I take out my negative 16y squared divided by negative 16 is positive y squared. Negative 64 divided by negative 16 is a positive 4y. And then plus blank minus blank. And then we still keep the plus 116. Or you could move the 116 to the other side. It won't make a difference right now. So then we finish completing the square on each part. So negative 4 cut in half squared. So that gives us negative 2 squared, which is 4. But we really did 9 times by 4. So when we do 9 times by 4, we were really adding 36, so we have to take away 36. Okay. When we look at the y's, we take the 4 cut it in half squared, which is 2 squared, which is 4. But we were really doing negative 16 times 4. So when we were doing that, that's really negative 64. So I'm going to subtract a negative 64. Whoops, I missed. Which means that this will flip and be positive. because we were subtracting 64 here, so we have to be adding 64 here. So our 9 stays factored out in front. We get x minus 2 quantity squared. Remember, it's the thing before you square it, or you are factoring this part, so what multiplies to 4 and adds to negative 4. I'm going to hold on the minus 36, and I'm going to combine that with our 64 and 116. I'm just going to change that so it looks more like a 4 instead of a 9. And then the negative 16, I'm going to keep that out. And then y plus 2 quantity squared. Remember, again, it's the thing before you square it, or you're factoring this, so what multiplies to 4 and adds 4, so that's 2 and 2. And then we've got negative 36 plus 64 plus 116. So we do negative 36 plus 64 minus 119 plus 116. No, 116. Gives us 144. So this equals, not equals, plus 144. That equals 0. So remember, we want this to equal 1. So I'm going to move the 144 to the other side. So then that gives us 9 times x minus 2 squared minus 16 times y plus 2 squared equals negative 144. If I want this to equal 1, that means I have to divide by negative 144. So notice, originally, our 16 with our y's is what's negative. But right here, when we get it to set equal to 1, it's going to flip it and it's going to make the x be negative. So divide by negative 144. So if we do 9 divided by 144, and you can math frac it on your TI calculator or do the fraction button on this one, so 1/16. So this will be negative x minus 2 squared over 16 plus, and then if we do 16 over 144, that will give us 1/9. So then that gives us y plus 2 quantity squared over 9, and then negative divided by negative is positive, so 1. Okay. So now this looks a little different. You can reorder it if you would like and say that this is y plus 2 quantity squared over 9 minus x minus 2 squared over 16 equals 1. And then it looks more like a normal one. Okay. Now if we go to graph this, our center, just going to use this space down here. We're not going to use this problem right now. So our center is at negative 2, pause, nope. Oh, I bet I did that wrong on a whole bunch of them. Zero, 0, negative 5, 7. Oh, conveniently I did not. Oh, good. This is something to be careful of. So notice here, when, oh dear. Just doing all sorts of crazy things. Notice here I went negative 2, positive 2, but notice this is your x value, this is your y value. So you have to be really cautious of that. So this is your x, this is your y. So we're doing the opposite of inside here, which is positive 2. And then we're going to do the opposite of in here, which is negative 2. So just conveniently, I happened to not make that mistake above, which is great. And then we mark our center, so 2, negative 2. And then underneath the y's, we're going left and right by 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then up and down by, nope. I did it again. This is the y, so up and down by 3. I don't know if I had said that. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then this is underneath the x's, so left and right by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, sorry about that. So I create my box. I'm just going to double check I didn't mess it up anymore. We went down 2 here, right 2 here, up and down by 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, left and right. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Okay, so you do have to be cautious of that when your y's are in front, that you take the x to be in the x spot and the y to be in the y spot, even though it's out of order. Okay? So some of you may prefer to have it written this way so that you don't keep making those mistakes that I had just made. So we make our asymptotes here. It's not as pretty because it's not on a graph. And then since the x is negative, that means the y is positive, so it's opening up and down or going towards the y-axis. So we get our hyperbola here and our hyperbola here. So that's our graph. And then if we find our foci, we need to find our c value. So our c squared is a squared plus b squared, so our 9 plus 16. So then that gives us 25 is c squared, so then our c is 5. So from the center, I'm going to go up and down by 5. So then since our center is at 2, negative 2, since we're going up and down, I'm only going to change the y value. So I'm going to do negative 2 plus 5 and negative 2 minus 5. So we can simplify those. So negative 2 plus 5 gives us 3, and negative 2 minus 5 gives us negative 7. So then our foci is at 2, 3 and 2, negative 7. If we go and graph that, we would go from our center and we would go up by 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Goodness gracious. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and those are the foci. Okay. So that is what gets us our picture when it's in general conic form instead of our standard form that you can read the center off and find how much you're changing on the x's and how much you're changing on the y's. So again, make sure that you're really careful when you're grabbing your center that you put the x with the x point and the y with the y point, regardless of which order they are in.